Blevins Nation Entertainment and BlevinsNation.com, the place to go for all the best in rock and roll music, new rock, and podcast. So sit back, hold tight, and open up your ears. The revolution is here. Now here's your host, Chris.
The lights are out. Will the sun ever shine again? I'm feeling lost, I'm feeling low. This time it might be the end. Can't find the key to unlock the door to get me out of this hell, no. God only knows just how long I'll be in this prison cell. And I scream, but no one hears. And I pray that this will pass, 'cause the walls are closing in. Now I'm on my feet again. I'm gonna drink before the well runs dry. And I know it won't be long until the vultures come to bleed me dry.
All right, everybody, this is Chris with Blevins Nation, and we're talking with Stevie D of Stevie D featuring Corey Glover. How's it going?
What's happening, Chris?
Man, I am loving life. Today is my daughter's 10th birthday, and I'm getting old.
What's your daughter's name?
Her name is Skylar.
Okay, and how she's 10, and is she a music fan like yourself?
Oh, yes, she is. And to be honest with you, my wife and her were coming back from somewhere last Sunday, and they were listening to my radio show in the car, and that I played y'all's song. Oh my gosh, I just went totally blank now. What is the
Final Resting Place.
Yes, Final Resting Place. And my daughter was like, "Ooh, I like that." My wife was telling me about it, so she loves AC/DC, Bon Scott era, but she's a huge music fan. So definitely.
Right on. Well, that's cool, man. It's nice to know, it's nice to know that a girl of that age is appreciating that genre, that style,
Oh, yeah.
That's cool. Good to know.
Oh yeah. She likes other things too, but I think the acapella part of Corey starting off, that kind of grabbed her, and she was like, "Oh.
Yeah, I have. Speaking of that, I have a version where I cut right to where the band starts, in case radio requests a version without the acapella, because actually one of the reviews. The gentleman had said, the song starts out with a 57-second a cappella part, which, he alluded to it being unusual, different, and he goes, and then the band wakes up, which he said, how did he put it? He said something like, and lucky for me, after 57 seconds, the band woke up, and there is actually a great song in there.
Oh, gosh.
So it's like, and I was informed that was actually a very positive review. But it's, listen, man, it's Corey Glover. So if anybody can pull off 57 seconds of a cappella, it's Corey Glover.
Oh, yes, definitely. So, but yeah, like I was talking earlier when we were trying Skype and it didn't work, but I happened up on the song. I was cruising through YouTube videos and stuff, and because that's all I do is just listen to music, and this popped up, and I was like, okay, or actually I don't even think I clicked on it. It was just it just came up, and I was listening. I was like, man, that guy looks familiar, and I love his voice, and then next thing I know, the band, like the guy was saying, the band kicked in, but I was like, that's amazing. It's I don't know how to explain it. It's rock and roll. It's really alive with what's going on today. And I mean, of course, you don't sound like Rival Sons or Greta Van Fleet, but it's got that beat, it's got that sound, it's got that just that overall rock and roll sound.
Yeah, man.
Of today,
Yeah, I mean it's kind of just how I make a rock record, and that's what it ended up being. Today's mixes, today's records are very, high energy. The DEF CON, they're it's hard to explain. It's like if you could touch a mix, you'd burn your fingers. You know what I mean? The way rock records are mixed and put forth these days. And I really like what's going on, and as far as how records are being mixed. Like you mentioned, Rival Sons and the Foo Fighters.
Oh yes, definitely.
It's just a lot of great rock happening right now.
Yes, there is.
And
you mentioned that Foo Fighters. I didn't even think that because I've been a huge fan. There we go, a huge Foo Fighter fan since since he first came out in '95, and was not a huge Nirvana fan. So I did not know that he was the drummer for Nirvana. So I just thought it was something new, and. In every CD, they gradually not just get better, but music tastes change here and there and stuff. And it's just rock and roll, and I love it.
Well, you could tell Dave. You could tell where Dave Grohl came from.
Yes.
You could tell he was a guy listening to Thin Lizzy and UFO. You can hear. That he's all about the two guitar onslaught and classic rock onslaught. So
yes.
it is interesting that he made his bones in a Seattle group that really wasn't like if you were to ask somebody at the time, what do you think these guys? What do you think their influences are? The last thing you would think of is, they sound like they listen to. Early Scorpion record or but
Kiss, Aerosmith, all that,
Yeah, Sabbath, but maybe Sabbath, maybe early Sabbath, but but the last couple Foo Fighter records are definitely in that vein of what we were just discussing mix wise, just really. High energy. Everything is blazing and up front and right on the edge of your speaker.
Oh yes.
So, yeah, man.
Now let's get to you. What so Stevie D. Who is Stevie D?
Well, I started. When I was 12, I took up drums. I mean, if we go back to the beginning,
okay.
If we go back, I took my father loved music. He wasn't a musician, but he loved music, and at one point he started buying stereo equipment. He was a truck driver, so I guess maybe he wasn't buying stereo equipment. Maybe it was just falling out of the back of his truck into our basement, and nevertheless, he put together a really great listening room. And I remember he had he had the TAC reel-to-reels, the 4-tracks, the 3340, and I remember he had it was right around the time when the industry was dabbling with quadraphonic, which is, I guess, what 5.1 is now. Back then it was quad. They tried. It never caught on, but companies were making equipment that could accommodate quadraphonic playback, which was basically 4 channels.
Okay.
And I don't know why I'm getting into of course I have to get into the technical aspect of things. It's just my nature. So there's the answer to your question. Anyway, long story, a little longer. He put together a really great playback system, and of course, when he wasn't home, I would go down into his listening room and play my sister's records. Which I remember her record collection. She's 4 years older than me, so she had Woodstock. She had Tapestry, Carole King, Paranoid, Black Sabbath, Aqualung, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where my musical education started, my sister's record collection.
Okay.
And so I started playing. Actually, let me just answer the question without telling you my life history. Stevie D is just, I'm just a guy who needs to constantly create. I have to constantly be putting out new music, creating new music, mixing music, producing music, writing my own music, and hopefully occasionally performing, because that's all part of it. And, that's a quick answer.
Okay.
Aside from that, I'd like to be a professional ball player, but I think that ship has sailed.
Yeah, with all of us, I think, us anyway.
But luckily, I can still hang a guitar around my neck and still have enough energy to do that. But yeah, man. Anyway, that's appreciate you asking. Appreciate you being interested.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, because I knew you did, producing and mixing, engineering, all that kind of stuff, and writing, but wasn't sure on all the, everything else. Now, and that's an interesting thing though that you hit on, because you were talking about doing all that stuff, but also playing live. And me. Don't get me wrong, I love the studio. I love writing. I love all the aspects of being in a band and being in music. But live, to me, is that's what it's all about. Is getting out there on stage in front of people and just, pouring my heart out and, blood, sweat, and tears of rock and roll. But some people are just fine being that studio musician, or that engineer, or producer, or whatever, And is that more you? Are you more of the inside guy?
No, I equate it to the whole. I think there needs to be a balance. For me, there's a balance that exists, and
okay.
It's. I think it's important to have a healthy recording habit, have your to counter that, have the performing aspect of it. I mean,
right.
There should be a balance,
Yes.
Because it's a beautiful thing, to get going to the studio and to document and write and to get that whole part of the equation up and running, and then you get, the performing side. It's really a perfect circle, because
yes.
you have your studio, you write your music, and then you go perform it. I mean, in front of people. It's really, gosh, it's like a chef, It's a good chef who knows how to prepare a meal, a perfect meal.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about, just doing the studio and not having the performing part of it, I mean, do some people not need to perform? If they do, that's their business. I
right.
mean, everybody's different. There's no right or wrong, or there's whatever works for the individual. For me, the proof is in how I feel after a good show. I never do a recording session or do a mix and sit back with the same contentment that I have after a good performance. And that, right there dictates whether or not it's something that I need to have in my life. And it just is. It's like after a good show, of course, you hear the key word is after a good show.
Right.
It's like you sit back and you have this, it's like a workout, it's just this feeling of contentment. You could just sit on a couch after a show and just be like so relaxed,
Yes.
I mean, of course, after a bad show, if you've done a show and you've had nothing, if it's sounded bad and you weren't playing well and you weren't feeling relaxed and you weren't in the moment, that's another
It's
story.
stressful.
I mean, you could feel emotionally the opposite of how you feel after a good show. So
Right.
make sure your good shows are far more than your bad shows. That's the key.
Yeah, exactly.
Preferably no bad shows. The more you do it, the better you get at it.
Oh,
So-
yeah. But everybody has a bad night, I mean, it's unfortunately.
Yeah.
And, and going back, like you said, the studio thing versus the, live, I think I'm more that way just because I have played way more live shows than I have ever been in the studio, just because I couldn't afford to be in studio. so, it's so dadgum expensive, and I actually
It can be, yeah. It can be.
Yeah. So,
And nothing happens quick in the studio. It's things just take time to do right. It's not everybody can do what Black Sabbath did on their first record or Van Halen did on their first record. Not everybody can go into a studio for 12 hours and walk out with, records that will be in the time capsule,
Yes, exactly.
And I hit record and I just said, Corey, we're rolling, just ad-lib the hook, the chorus lyrics. And Corey's, I actually had the pleasure of doing front of house for Corey's solo tour.
Oh, okay.
Back in the late 90s, I went on the road with Corey and his band and, got to see these guys perform every night for the better part of a year. And Corey's, first of all, you never know what's going to happen, and you got to be ready for whatever. And Corey's famous for just doing a cappella, moments of a cappella ad-libbing, and he'll even drop the mic and sing to the audience without the mic, which is really cool. He'll just come up. He'll come up to the edge of the stage and just improv for 7 minutes,
Wow.
and just go into moments that he's going deep. It's like So I had that experience with Corey. So when I was cutting him, I knew what I needed to do at certain times. And at that point, I said, Corey, we're rolling, just go, and you don't have to explain much to the guy,
Well, just from Living Color back in the day and other things, I knew Corey had soul. You can hear it in his voice. You can hear it, in him. But that's the first time I'd ever heard him do a cappella, and the soul came out in him more. Or I could just hear it because there was no music or anything with it. And I was just like, yeah, there it is, and it grabbed me. So I'm hoping it grabs everybody else that I play it for. So
Well, so far, I'm not. So far, I don't think there's a lot of a lot of radio stations or people requesting the song without the a cappella intro.
oh, well, good. That's
So
a good
that's
thing.
that's a good sign, and
Yes.
my buddy, Keith Roth, he's DJ for the Rat here in Jersey and Ozzy's Boneyard. He's been playing it, and he plays it with the a cappella intro. So
I do too.
you know what I'm saying? So if people start changing the dial, I mean it could actually make the listener want to keep it on. Like, oh, what's going on here? How often do you hear a minute of a cappella on the radio?
You don't.
So we need the attention span to start to expand a little bit more. So maybe this will help.
Oh yes. Well, I can't wait to hear more stuff off the album. And we were talking about that earlier too. And you said that you're looking at like August.
Yeah. Well, the record will be released August 2nd.
August 2nd. Okay. And
Yeah,
you said a single.
on Mighty Music. The next single will be out early June. Single and video.
Okay.
And that song is called "Your Time Has Run Out," and that's an up tempo drop D, pretty aggressive track. So I'm
Awesome.
pretty excited about that coming out. Yeah, that kind of.
I like that.
I described it as it makes Final Resting Place sound like an easy listening record. So.
Well, that's cool. Well, you know what? That shows adversity. I like that.
Yeah, it's aggressive.
That's very cool. That's very cool. And the drop D thing, that's very cool too. So, well, yeah, because when you hear that and then you hear the song kick in, with the music and everything, you don't know quite what you're going to get. And then when this next one comes out, Your Time Has Run Out. I mean, it sounds like a heavy song anyway to me. So yeah, man, this is sounding like it's gonna work out to be a very good album. So can't wait to get it and hear it. So
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'm every track is solid. There's no filler. Every millisecond is accounted for.
okay. Now, of course, I know it's gonna sound. You don't want to throw something in this so off track that it doesn't sound like it, but with Corey at the helm, I'm thinking he's gonna keep it in check. As far as it's gonna sound the same, not like two totally different bands or something. You know what I'm saying? So that's cool.
It's interesting you say that. His excuse me for interrupting you there.
Oh no, you're fine.
His voice definitely ties the record together, because the record does go through some personality change. It's definitely not just one dimensional. It's definitely got some different
Feels,
sonics,
feelings,
just different vibes.
vibes. That's it. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah, and his voice definitely ties all the different vibes together. There's this one track on the record. I hope Corey doesn't mind me saying this. There's one track that Corey had. It's really takes a left turn, or what is it? A left turn or a right turn? It takes one of those turns.
Right. I don't know.
Takes a hard
one
left.
of those. There you go.
Yeah, like the next single, which is really heavy, and then you listen to this track I'm talking about, which is, I guess it's kind of maybe kind of like a little bit of a Beatle-y kind of production.
Okay.
And when we finished the song, Corey had said to me he hadn't felt this way about a song since Cult of Personality. Since he, tracked Cult of Personality, he hadn't felt about another song since this track.
Wow.
Which when he said that to me, I was pretty much
that
shot me back into my chair. Like, well, that's a heck of a thing, to say. So, yeah, man, and it's a totally different vibe from Final Resting Place and some of the heavier tracks on the record. But again, his voice ties it together, and yeah, man, it's going to be cool. I'm looking forward to getting it out there.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, what is the name of the album?
Torn from the Pages.
Torn from the Pages. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's basically a lot of the stories on the record are pretty personal. They reflect my past, some of the things I've been through growing up, my family life. So I thought that was a cool title. We're thinking about it as like a book.
Right.
Obviously, a book, the story of my life to a degree. Not every song, but more than half of the record is our stories, personal stories. There's a few that are made up, fictitious, but
yes.
There's a few that are a little angry lyrically, and it's like, that's your life? No, those are just, for whatever reason, I had these storylines, fictitious storylines that I, worked out to go along with the riffs that I was coming up with. But yeah, so Torn from the Pages is which is again, why it's a very personal record and project, because it is it's some true stories going on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, man.
I was telling you, my daughter liked the song Final Resting Place, and her favorite part was, and I don't know why, but when the vultures come to bleed me dry. For a 10-year-old, if she picked up on that, she was like, I like that. And I was like, okay. So. Yeah,
but you know what? That is cool. That she picked up on that. She's that song is man, that song is, it's a personal lyric, but I think everybody, that if you read those lyrics, that's basically what we're all gonna go through it.
Oh, yes.
We all basically gotta go through the same doors and end up at the same destination. So
yes.
It's really good news. The lyric may seem dark or whatever, but it's really the moral of the story is good news, and it's basically saying, this and this is going to happen, and that's going to try to happen, but we're going to end up on the good side. We're going to beat it. We're going to nothing. You got to have the tough skin in this life, and
most
we don't have a choice. We got to have that tough. There's going to be good and there's going to be bad, and hopefully there's going to be more good than bad.
Oh yes.
But yeah, man. Well, tell was it Skylar?
Yeah, Skylar. Mm-hmm.
Tell Skylar I said, right on, man. Thanks for listening.
All right. Now, so you said around August, or in August is when the CD will drop.
August 2nd.
August 2nd. Okay, August 2nd.
Yeah, which is actually our debut show. That day we'll be doing our debut performance here in Jersey.
Oh,
Yeah.
in Jersey. Okay, very cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, let's see, Jersey. Who else is from Jersey? Of course, Don Jameson, and the guys from that metal show, Eddie Trunk, Jim Florentine,
Eddie, yeah.
and my boys in Trickster. I love those guys.
Yep.
That's one of my favorite bands.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
but yeah, well, cool, man.
But Corey's doing a thing called the Bowie Celebration,
Oh, okay.
which is David Bowie's original band with guest singers, and he's been touring with that, and that's been doing real well. And then he's got a bunch of dates with Living Color. So,
that's
we're
cool.
trying to. And then he's got his own band, which a band called Vice, which is a bunch of all my buds, and so he does that. So Corey, he does so much stuff.
Yes.
He's such a monster talent and monster performer. I mean,
Oh, yes.
everybody's going to want Corey fronting their band.
Exactly.
If they're smart.
Oh, Ultraphonics. That was the name of the band. Okay. It just
Yeah.
hit me. Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So, but yeah. And, well, that's cool.
But
Now,
the beauty of this record, I know Corey, he's done a few things, but the beauty of this record is, I think, a lot different than a lot of the other projects that Corey has lent his voice to. So that's.
well, just starting off with the first single, I mean, Final Resting Place is just, it's way different, but it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and Corey's, I when I wrote the material for the record, I knew Corey's voice was going to be, it's just a perfect marriage sonically, the track.
It does.
And then putting his, basically the next single was the first track that I put Corey on, and my initial intention was to have Corey I recorded the record, and I had another singer on it, my fantastic, talented monster singer, his Doug Henthorne, my buddy from Indiana, and Doug sounds like Paul Rogers meets Chris Cornell.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I had him on the whole record, and I thought, had this one track, the next single, which I didn't put Doug on. I think I might have written it like late in the game as well, and I thought, I wonder if Corey would. Let me ask him if he would do a guest spot on my record. So I was thinking, get him for one, just for one song, And I asked him, and he said, "Yeah, man." So he came in, and he said, as soon as he sang the first couple lines, my head fell between my arms, and I thought, well, I got to get him to do the whole record. After I heard him, I said, the guest thing that's not an option at this point.
Exactly.
Even though Doug, killed the whole record. I mean, he sounds so, so great.
But it was just a perfect fit for Corey.
Well, yeah. When I heard Corey on it, I just thought. So anyway, I gave Corey a call a few days later or whatever, and I said, Corey, how do you feel about doing the whole record? And he said, yeah, no problem, man. Corey's just, no problem, man. Sure.
That's awesome.
All right. Thanks, buddy. I'll talk to you soon.
Heck yeah, man. There's nothing wrong with that. That's awesome. So, definitely. Now, and everybody can check them out. Stevie D featuring Corey Glover. And you're on Facebook, I know for sure. Now, what about other, Twitter, Instagram? You got a website?
I got a landing page.
Okay.
It's tornfromthepages.com.
Okay.
or Stevie D featuring CoreyGlover.com. They both point to this
same thing.
This
Okay.
page, but
Okay.
it's a landing page, and it has the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram links, and it has the Spotify links and iTunes. So,
Okay.
it's kind of a pretty cool, everything torn from the pages, everything, as far as accessing everything that we have, even the videos on the homepage. So,
Okay.
until I expand the website, that's a pretty good place to just go and do whatever needs to be
Get
done.
to where you
for-
need to
for
go.
the-
Right.
Yeah. So,
Well, that's the best way to
And-
do it nowadays, is just put links to everything on one place, and then people can go to that one place and find everything else they want to go to, So,
yeah,
I dig
yeah,
that.
definitely. Even though I have like 3 Facebook pages, and I have my personal Facebook page, my studio, and then for the record. So, it can get maybe a little much, but
oh, yes. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
it's nice to have one entity, so that you can track everything on at one place rather than have it break up into 3 different places. Because my personal page is way more established than the other pages, so
Yes,
I get
I
the most
understand
traffic
that.
there.
And,
know what I'm saying?
and you tend to post more stuff about the other stuff on your personal page, just because of the fact that it reaches more people. It's a
Right.
catch-22. I
Right.
definitely get that.
But you gotta keep up on.
Oh, yes.
You also need to do Instagram, and
Oh, yes.
and there's a few others that I've my fiance's daughter's a musician. She's 21 years old, so I get to hear a lot of the the Ariana Grande genre of music that's happening, and how the kids are doing Instagram. It's really cool because these kids are in they go to NYU in New York for music, Clive Davis
Oh, okay.
Institute.
Yeah.
And I get to pick their brains about what's going on, what's the best way to do the social media thing. So they give me these Instagram lessons on how to just do 25-second videos, and what you need to do to just
Draw
consolidate.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah, to do it. So I mean, these kids are marketing ninjas,
Yes.
social media marketing ninjas. I mean, they have like 50,000 views on their YouTube videos that they did in homemade videos, and so there's definitely an art form to navigating social media that us old guys, we really need to tap into if we want to
Yes,
have
exactly.
a hope in hell at getting any exposure.
And that brings me to something. I have way more followers or whatever on Facebook than I do on my Twitter account. But my Twitter account, by far, that's where the majority of my listens for my podcast come from, or from people hitting it off of Twitter. And that just amazes me. It's like people on Facebook just either don't see it, or they just not as interested. Twitter is definitely better for music, in my opinion, for my type of music, and for
Interesting.
podcast, in other words,
Okay.
So, so that's that's something you may want to check into, because it it surprises me, because I can get all the stats and everything off my website, and
Right.
yeah,
Right.
it's just amazing.
No, I usually whenever I do a post that's important, I'll do it on Facebook and Instagram, and I'll have Instagram clone it to Twitter.
Right,
There's
exactly.
an option in there.
Exactly. Well, you can actually just do it on Twitter. I mean, on Instagram, and make it go to both of them. So you just do one time. That's
Exactly.
that's a cool thing too. So yeah, the internet has gotten so ridiculous, but
you got to do it though, man.
yes.
You got to do it.
Oh yes, it is.
I mean, look, man, if Rob Halford is doing Instagram videos wearing an Easter bunny suit,
exactly,
then we have no excuse.
You're right. Definitely.
I saw one of Rob Halford playing harmonica the other day.
I'm not sure if I saw that one or not. I'll have to check that out. I saw somebody playing harmonica, but I can't remember who it was. It might have been him. So, but yeah, it's definitely a great place for marketing, and but also it can be a catch-22 because if you don't market it enough, people don't see it. But if you market it, but still, if you don't market enough, some people do see it too much, and then they want to get rid of you and this and that. But hey, you know what? I'm not doing it for them. I'm doing it for everybody else that wants to see it. So
yeah, man, that's a good point. Knowing it's. I think your best bet is to try to find somebody, hire somebody who really knows how to navigate it, do it the right way.
Right.
You preferably, a younger generation person who you can, employ and
oh, yes.
have them do, because they even know what time to post, what day and what time,
exactly.
because
exactly.
That's apparently an important, because if you post it at the wrong time, it might get lost. It might not get the right. Because I think when it initially goes up is when it gets the most attention, and then once it starts falling further into the feed, you're
it does get less, way less. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Gradually,
so there's a sweet spot as to when you should hit enter.
Yeah, and I do Facebook Lives too. And I've had the most I've had was 800 people watching, and the least was like about 60 or 70. And of course, I've never had another one that high. Most of them are 100-200,
Mm-hmm.
But it's different every day and every time. That's something that is very hard to nail down. I'd like to have those 800s every time I do it, but that's.
How long have you been doing this, Chris?
Actually, I've been playing music, since I started singing to my mom's Elvis records at 3 years old. So, and then started playing guitar at 14, and I've done that and coached football for most all my life, and I started doing podcasts almost a year and a half now. But it started out with football and music, but music just overtook it because it's my biggest love,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, my first music interview was with Kevin Martin of Candlebox.
Sweet, man.
Yeah, January 30th. Well, if it hadn't been for my music career and meeting him years ago and becoming friends, that would have never happened. But it just came easier, the music thing, instead of interviewing football coaches, so or athletes or whatever, and it was funny.
Did you ever see an interview with a coach or an athlete? They look like they can't wait to get out of there.
Oh yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. So yeah.
Whereas musicians are like, yeah,
they
man, what do you want to know, man?
It's awesome. I love it. I love promoting new music. I love promoting old music. I love promoting everything. Rock and roll, as long as it's rock.
Hey, man, that's a blessing for guys. It's a blessing, man, to have cats to go to bat for you. This business is just it's everything helps.
The business
man,
sucks. It does.
It's hard, man. It's hard to get anything happening, and to get a cat like yourself to talk about what you're doing it's a blessing, bro. I mean,
It is, and I can admit that because if I would have had this avenue to go to when I was young playing music, the whole thing, if I knew then what I know now, it would be,
right.
or however that saying goes anyway.
Well,
I could have done
thing
something,
is,
Well,
look, man, you can still do something. It ain't over, man.
I'm trying.
You gotta keep doing what you love and don't attach any agendas to it. Just do what you love because you love to do it. And that's it, man,
Yeah.
End of story, and good things will happen, yeah, man. So you feel like writing a song, write it. You feel like recording it, record. You feel like putting it out, put it out, man.
Exactly.
It's
Well, I just put a new band together. And,
you know what I mean? Good.
Yeah,
Good.
we went and recorded 3 songs, and waiting on that to get finished. And I promote young bands. I promote music. I give them a platform, especially with me being on my radio show on internet radio. I can play whatever I want. I don't have somebody telling me I can't play this because it's not. Nobody paid for it. I don't care.
Right.
That's not how it works for me. But I play, and I tell people to send me music, and I don't judge. I don't care if I don't like the song that they sent me. I'm still going to play it on my radio show because I told them I would. Now, the only time I won't is if it sounds like it was recorded on a jam box.
Sure.
It's got to be good
you
quality.
You don't want to lose your credibility.
Right, right. But I do play it no matter if I like it or not because, and dude, I wish there would have been just one of me back in the day. And there would have been internet radio, too, of course. But, so.
Yeah, right.
But, I'm trying. I'm carrying the flag of rock and roll. And, one day I want to be like Eddie Trunk. I want to be able to go and MC festivals and MC shows. And I'll get there. I will definitely get there. So.
Right. So, hey, just, keep on keeping on, which shouldn't be too hard for you to do because you love to do it.
Exactly.
It ain't work, you obviously doing it because you love it, and that's the best reason to do something.
Oh yes. If I could do 3 or 4 of these a day, I would, But
right,
it's hard to get them. But
well, you can call me.
You
can call me 3 or 4 times, man.
There you go.
I'll disguise my voice.
All right, there you go. But yeah, man, that's cool. I'm like I said, I'm ready for this album to come out. I'm ready to hear the rest of it, especially you telling me now that there's some heavier stuff, which I like a little bit of everything. I'm a ballad guy. I love the heavy music. I love Rival Sons, but then on the other hand, I love Five Finger Death Punch. So that's a big step in between there, and I like everything in between it. So
sure.
And I'm glad y'all released that one as the first song because it grabbed me. Like I said, it's got that new rock and roll feel to it,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's got a current sound for sure.
Current. There you go. So
yeah, I think so.
Struts, Rival Son, Tyler. Something in the Shakes. Tyler Bryant and the Shakes. It ranks up there. I'm digging it.
I think it's got there's a room for it. I think there's a definitely can be in the club. In the, if you know what I mean. It's high level stuff. It's definitely don't sound like a demo.
Exactly.
It sounds it's definitely the track sounded great, but then you put Corey on top of it and it sounds like a record. You make records the way you know how to make them, the way you want to hear them.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly.
And you shouldn't compromise in the studio. You shouldn't compromise at any level. Live performing, writing, everything you do should be at the highest possible level. And when it comes to art, you should never compromise. You really should be able to do your art and sit back and say that's the best that it can be.
Yeah. Definitely. That's good words. That's wise words. Definitely what kids nowadays need to hear.
Well, you got to be careful, man. You can't let your friendship supersede the end result of the art. And I'm guilty. It took me a long time to learn. Doing music and doing art, you got to separate friendship, because it'll compromise the art. If you're like, well, he's my friend, I can't tell him, he can't sing it. He's my friend.
Yeah,
it's like your art's going to suffer with that whole mindset. And like I said, I'm guilty.
Well,
But,
cool. Very cool.
After all these years, you learn. You're like, well, where did it get you?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, very cool. Well, I guess we need to get off of here.
Well, let's do it again. Maybe when the record comes out.
Oh yeah, definitely do it when the record comes out, and let people. That way, I can right before it comes out. That way, I can let people know also about the show, which I got down here is August 2nd, Debonair Music Hall, Teaneck, New Jersey. So
correct.
Right. Very cool. Well,
all right, Chris, man, have a great night, brother.
Hey, thank you, and you too.
And we'll talk soon, buddy.
Okay.
All
right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody. That's about all we had time for today. Thank you, Stevie D, for coming on the show, and I look forward to interviewing Corey Glover before long. That's going to be awesome, too. And can't wait for the new CD to come out by Stevie D featuring Corey Glover, and that new song is just phenomenal. Final Resting Place. And get ready to and look for the CD coming out in August. And they have a new single coming out and from the Pages. So check all that out, and check out BlevinsNation.com. Check out V13.com. We are actually releasing our video this week. So look out for that. Look out for new stuff from Blevins Nation, and go to Facebook Blevins Nation, go to Facebook V13 Official, and don't forget July 11th in Brandon, Mississippi, down on the reservoir at BB's Live is going to be Faster Pussycat along with Sweet Tooth Jones. Yes, Sweet Tooth Jones is opening the show for them. And do not forget August 2nd, Sweet Tooth Jones with V13. That's right, baby, at Bonnie Blair's on the reservoir. And then the next night at Roscoe's. That's right, Roscoe Pico Train. Yes, that's where we're going to be in Macomb, Mississippi on August 3rd. Going to be with Rooster Trucker and Mike Haygood. So anyway, don't forget to check us all out, and y'all have a good one, and see you later. Don't forget, kids, wherever you go, there you are.